Hello everybody, and welcome to another video. So, a couple of things that stopped me from making videos. I've been a little sick, you might be able to tell, you might not. But a little bit sick, a little under the weather. Started about a month ago. I was actually in the hospital for something totally different. I rallied from that and then was doing fine, and then boom, I got this cold flu that everybody has right now. So it's pretty merciless, and I feel pretty good. I'm back to work and everything. I feel really good, but it's taken away my ability to smell. I still can't smell, and when you're doing fragrance videos, it's a little important for you to be able to smell, just a little. But I miss making videos, so we're going to be focusing a little bit more on compilation videos, fragrances that I already know, that are already in my collection. So we're going to be doing one today of this. Let's see how many we have. We have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different fragrances. But stick around because I do have some really cool video ideas. We're going to be doing the entire Argos lineup. I have all the Argos fragrances. I'm going to try that, try the E-Dot couple fragrance also. Just have to postpone that a little bit, so stick with me, but we'll have some pretty cool videos coming out. Okay, so I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods, your country. I know I have people from Canada, from Great Britain, England, I think more so specifically, and we have a lot of people from all over the world, and it's so cool. I think that's one of the coolest things about YouTube, is being able to connect with people from all over the place. But the one particular thing here in America for our kids going up to college, university levels is spring break, fall break, and I'm getting spring break as well as an educator, and so I wanted to do a video on vacation fragrances. So these are fragrances that if you are planning a trip, doesn't matter where, if you're planning a trip, you got some extra money, you say, I want a fragrance that I can wear on this trip, I can rock it, got you covered. There's 11 fragrances that you probably don't see a lot on this channel, because these are fragrances that are a little bit limited to this particular purpose. So I'm going on a trip next week. I have not had a vacation. I still struggle to say this is 100% a vacation, but I haven't had a vacation since 2012. So it's been a minute. But I'm going to be going to Nashville, Tennessee. So the music capital of the world. Everyone and their mother has recorded in Nashville. So they call it Nash Vegas because it's a party. But it'll be fun. I have to talk myself into it. It'll be fun. But there's going to be a mix of fragrances here. There's going to be some fragrances that lend themselves well to the beach, and there's going to be some fragrances that just lend themselves well to having a good time. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to start from the cheapest and go up. So regardless of what your price point is, there is something on here that you could afford, that you could buy. So let's just start from the get-go. And the very first fragrance that I have is a fragrance, and this proves that I'm trying to be the best at being objective, because I really do not like this fragrance, but it is a perfect vacation fragrance, and this is from the house of Latte. Lataffa. This is Qaed Fursan White. This fragrance is honestly, for being a Middle Eastern fragrance, very different from the typical Middle Eastern fragrances. This is actually a heavy coconut type fragrance. I hate coconut in fragrances, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Someone asked me, what's my opinion on LeBeau? And I said, it's disgusting. Not because it's a bad fragrance. For some reason, I just don't like coconut fragrance. I don't know why. Because I really like coconut. I love cooking Thai food and cooking with coconut milk. But for some reason, the scent profile and the note of coconut just drives me crazy. But if your budget is, say, $20 or less, you could have this guy. This is an eau de parfum. Sprays on great longevity, great performance, that Lataffa value. And his brother, Qaed Fursan Black, is like it's the one that's like the mixture of the Aventus as well as Baccarat. It's a very interesting fragrance. But this one, 100%. If you're looking for tropical pina colada type of mixed drink action, for cheap. That's what I'm stressing. Cheap. This is a great choice. Depending upon how you're driving, where you're driving, if you're flying, whatever it is, you might have to buy travel sprays, or the way that I would recommend it is just buy the empty bottles. Buy the 8ml empty travel spray bottles. Get you a syringe. Pop off the atomizer. Put the syringe in. Extract it. Put it in your travel spray. Because obviously you can't take this on a plane if you're driving. It's no problem. But obviously there's rules. That's number one. Beautiful for that tropic vacation. Number two, let's contrast that. Just because we're on vacation doesn't mean we're going to the beach. I don't like the beach, and I'll be very honest with you. The reason why is because I grew up on the beach, and to me, it just doesn't have the same luster. I grew up in a city called Fort Myers, Florida, and right there on the beach, Fort Myers Beach, Captiva, Sanibel. Siblings went to USF in St. Pete, and Clearwater, gorgeous area, gorgeous bridge that you go on to get to Clearwater. One of the coolest bridges, I think. And you go over this freaking bridge, and you can actually look down. I don't know how deep it is, the ocean, at this particular point, but you can see everything. And I remember one time crossing over there, I looked down, and there was somebody who was kayaking or paddleboarding. Not a paddleboard. Paddleboarding someone where you're standing, right? I don't know. I'm showing my naivety, but forgive my ignorance. He was canoeing or something, and underneath of him, you could see, I think it was like a 12-foot. I don't know if it was a tiger, I don't know if it was a bull, but just a massive shark. And of course, down in Florida, you get used to it. You get used to the sharks. We lived on a canal, alligators everywhere. I mean, I joke, I say that grandfather, or my godfather is an alligator. Like, I was raised with the alligators, and I really was. I remember having them go outside, and you would make noise intentionally, because when you would go out in your backyard, you open the door and slam it, and you would just see the grass, the leaves, the bushes, everything move because of all the animals there. The snakes would take off, the alligators would take off, all get my fill. So, vacation doesn't mean beach, but what it should mean is fun, happy times. And this is a fragrance that literally is happiness in a bottle. And this is Clinique Happy for men. I had no idea. This fragrance is a little older. I didn't know that. I can't remember how old, but it's been around for a minute. Still though, you can go into Ulta and you'll see it. So I think that's, fought back a cough there. I think that's a testament to a good fragrance when you have a fragrance that's been around for 20 or 30 years and it's still on the shelves, man. I mean, that's pretty legit. I'm gonna spray it even though I can't smell jack. This fragrance truly is happiness in a bottle, man. This fragrance is so sweet, citrus-based fragrance. And I really like it. It's a great fragrance. Great fragrance. And there's ways to overdo citrus. There's ways to overdo sweetness. And I don't think this does it. There's also ways to come off as more of a party fragrance or a clubbing fragrance. And again, I don't think this does it either. I think it's just bright, happy fragrance. Don't get this in the stores. You can get it at discounters. $30. Really good fragrance. Really good fragrance. $25, $30. Next, we have, notice on this list, I'm not a huge fan of blues fragrances. To me, they're too overdone and too simple. But I have one blues fragrance. I think this is probably my favorite blues fragrance at the moment, and this is from Rasasi, and this is Hawas. Now, there is a difference between ozonic and aquatic. Ozonic means being of nature. We typically consider these things sea notes. Blues fragrances are not necessarily that. They're not necessarily salty. They're not necessarily reminiscent of an ocean. It's just fresh. And that's what this is. This is Invictus, a little bit more powdery, but fresh and spring, summer, vacation, happy vibes. You're not going to get that huge blast of citrus. So if you like citrus, go for something like Happy for Men. This is not your guy. What this is, oh, it's just this sweet, gorgeous, inoffensive blues fragrance. So good, so good, so good. And if I may add a testament to how good this fragrance is, you look at that. Out of all the fragrances that I have and that I wear, I made a dent in this guy. And somebody who doesn't love blues fragrances, I'd say that's pretty impressive. This used to be $50. Now you can get it for $20 to $30 at discounters. A great deal. Even at $40, $50, probably worth it, but at 20 something it's an absolute no-brainer. Next, I want to show you a clone, and it occurs to me, I don't have a whole lot of clones here, but this is, I think, one of them, like 2 clones. And this is from the house of Armaf, and this is Milestone. Now this fragrance is a Qaed clone, as I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I do want to know. I don't want to say most of them. I would say half of this Club de Nuit line is Qaed clones. Obviously, the one everybody knows, Club de Nuit Intense, being Aventus. And no, Aventus and none of the clones are on this list. They've had more than enough of their time on this channel lately. And this is a clone of Millésime Imperial by Qaed. I looked that up. because I'm like, what does Millicene mean? And I still have no idea why Qaed picked this fragrance, because you look at this fragrance, it's in this gold bottle, and you're like, oh, this must be Regal Royal, snooty, I don't know. You can start thinking of all these things, and then you spray it, and you're like, what? There's nothing like what I thought it would be. So I looked it up. I said, what does Millicene mean? And I couldn't find an answer that satisfied me. Some said that it's a process of fermenting fish, canning fish. Another said that it's an indication of really high ingredients. I was like, y'all come to a consensus, agree upon a definition, let me know. But Millicene is one of those fragrances that will just kind of surprise you. Because I thought fancy, fresh, black tie, just looking at it. I mean, you look at fragrances. Oh, I just got a whiff of that. That just reached its way through my illness and brought my nose out to the forefront. My nose is like, smell? Yes, smell. So, wow. Interesting. Okay, so, do you think of a gold fragrance? I think a good example of this is, why am I drawing a blank on that? The Perfume Godolphin. I don't know why I drew a blank on that. It's gold. Rich leather fragrance. I don't equate gold with a beachy vibe, but this one has it. When I first sprayed this, I was so surprised, I was so taken back that I really wasn't that impressed. And this is one of my original reviews. To me, it reminded me of every old lady that I used to pass in the marketplace growing up in Florida. I mean, but the reason why it's here is because if you were looking for a tropical getaway fragrance, the first thing I thought about when I smelled this was a beachy tropical getaway. So I'm like, well, shoot. You have these salty notes, this oceanic type vibe going on with this. Would I pay $150, $180, $200 for the Qaed actual Millicene? No, I really don't care for it that much, but if you're talking about spending, I don't know, $25, $30, to me, it's a solid pick. And I've already put 2 fragrances on this list, or this will be the second that I don't love, but the quality is there, the profile is there. It's just not my profile, but it might be yours. So that's why I include these things on this list. And if you are looking for a cheap fragrance that smells much more expensive than it is, performs well, salty, tropical, Florida type vibe, this is a great one. Milestone. 26 to $30. All of these under $30 so far. We have 2 more relatively inexpensive ones. And the next one. This is kind of a strange one for this list, but for some reason, it was the first one that I thought of. This is, again, from the House of Armaf, and this is Odyssey, Mandarin Sky. And if y'all just want to straight up disagree with me on this, I will not be offended at all. But for some reason, this gives me vacation vibes. It gives me tropical vacation vibes. This is a clone of Scandal by Jean Paul Gaultier. I think a lot of the Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances lend themselves to being fun and happy. And at the end of the day, I think that that's what I think of when I think of vacation. So let's spray up. Love that atomizer. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Fame by Paco Rabanne. A little bit. if y'all want to totally disagree with me, I get it. But to me, this very similar vibes. The last thing I think of when I think of this fragrance is like a black tie. You know, it's fun. It's a little bit complex. It's not your bluesy aquatic fragrances that are just a little bit too juvenile. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for individuals looking to buy something that's a little bit more complicated, I love this fragrance for vacations. This could also be night on the beach or something like that. You know, something that vacation isn't just during the sun hours. So if you want a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complex, go for it. One more cheapie. Then we start moving into a little bit more expensive fragrances. My last cheapie is from the house of Dumont. This is Nitro Red. And I saw just the other day that they have a ton of these now. There's a ton of nitros, nitro black, nitro tan, just a ton of different nitros. This fragrance again says happy. It says happy. I don't like this. I'm not happy when I see this. But it has this leatherette kind of that I really like. I like the presentation. Somebody said that this kind of reminded them of Aventus. I don't know if I totally agree with that. In fact, I don't agree with that. I'll just make that statement. I'm not getting any kind of Aventus kind of vibes here. What I'm getting is a watermelon Jolly Rancher kind of vibe. And if you're looking for something that is arguably unisex, something that is a compliment getter, Hawas and these two. It doesn't matter what the price point is of all of these fragrances. If you want compliments, Hawas and Nitro Red, it just is a super mass appealing fragrance that so many people love. So many people love. Not your fragrance heads, not your fragrance snobs. You know, they want complexity, something a little bit unique. There's nothing super unique about this fragrance, but it's a mass appealing happy fragrance that people really like. Next, we have a bit of a jump, and let's talk about the new release from Versace. If you've been looking for an excuse to add another Versace Eros fragrance, here's your excuse. Energy. There's a couple different fragrances that could fit this bill that I could have put on here, but I did not, because I think this fragrance does it just fine. I wanted to put the Louis Vuitton fragrances, Pacific Chill namely, or Stephanie Humbert Lucas, God of Fire, but those are citrus bombs. Almost too citrus and almost too much of a bomb, honestly. Pacific Chill will send you into a tropical fruity universe that's difficult to climb out of. And it'll also send you into a universe of being broke because of how expensive it is. When you're talking about a gourmandy type citrus that smells like you should be able to drink it, that's what I think of with something like Pacific Chill, and that's what you get with this. So I wanted to put Pacific Chill, but I think this is much more understandable. This is much more appreciable. And Louis Vuitton, at the end of the day, is a 300 plus designer scent, is a great 100%. I just don't know if it's worth that. This fragrance comes off very Aventus-y at first, but when it dries down, it comes across is a wonderful, wonderful, say it one more time, wonderful orange citrus type juice scent. It's an incredible citrus. An incredible citrus. So regardless of if you're out on the beach, if you're going to dinner, if you're just hanging out, if you're somewhere else warm, just enjoying people's company, this is a great option. A great option. And I bought this for way too much money right when it came out, and it's gone down quite a bit since then. Now I think you can get it for $60, and that's worth it. Next, we have from the house of Giorgio Armani, we have Aqua des Yeux Eau de Parfum. Now this is not the newest one. They've had flankers come out. Profumo, I think, is the newest one technically. They could have just kept, or not Profumo, but Parfum. They could have kept Profumo. They made Parfum. I'm not going to get started on that. But Alberto Marias, being the original fragrance perfumer, his son made this with him. So I think that's a beautiful story, but people do not like it as much. And the reason for that, I personally believe, is because it really highlights those salty sea notes. And to me, that's vacation. Smells very much of the ocean and the saltiness that, out of context, might come off like sweat or body odor, but if you're on vacation by the sea or something like that, it's going to smell great. It'll smell exactly like where you should be. And this does not have a magnetic cap, which I hate, because it just screams magnetic cap, magnetic cap. But yeah, people didn't love this fragrance, and I can understand why, but it's still a good fragrance, and I think out of all of them, really lends itself well to being a beachy type fragrance. So far, we've had Middle Eastern, we've had fragrances off of lookalikes, clones. I have a couple niche fragrances now. We gotta include the niche. This is a recent pickup for me that has to be on this list. Don't wait till you get to the beach when you can buy a bottled version of the beach from the House of Imaginary Authors, which I guess I can't technically show because the screen just blurs it out. This is Every Storm a Serenade. It matches the color of my green screen, so you can't. This fragrance, it's got eucalyptus, vetiver, ambergris, and sea salt. It smells like you're already there, like you're already at the beach. Josh Meyer, the perfumer for all of the imaginary authors, is similar in this French style of perfumery that you see with Etat, Maison Margiela, where they try to put you in the moment, try to put you in the place. And this is telling a story of a northeastern coast, smelling of the seaweed and the ocean spray coming on you. It's a gorgeous fragrance. So if you want to smell like the ocean and smell like a beautiful sea, Baltic Sea, then consider picking this up. It's a niche fragrance. It's not cheap, but it's also not super expensive. None of these are super expensive. $100, something like that. Sometimes you can get a cheaper one. Imaginary Authors, Every Storm a Serenade, and I'm starting to like them. More and more Imaginary Authors. 3 more and complimentary. I do like the fragrance. This is from the niche house of Giardini di Toscana. And this fragrance is Bianco Latte. This is not a beach fragrance. It could be. This is the name translates to sweet milk. This is hanging out at Florence. Hanging out outside of a coffee shop or something like that. This is a milk caramel type fragrance. It's relaxed. It's fun. It's sensual. I think of this a lot because to me a lot of tanners, self-tanners, and even the tanners that you put on before you go into some tanning booth or tanning bed or whatever, I think mimic this same scent profile. So the very first time I smelled it, that was just in my mind. I was like, oh, okay. It does not project the greatest. It doesn't last so long as a gourmand. But this is a beautiful skin scent and would be great a date night on a vacation or just enjoying yourself and your own aroma. This is very much a unisex, perhaps even a more feminine leaning fragrance. Most of these have been somewhat unisex, I would say. Milestone, definitely unisex. The Qaed Fursan, definitely Scandal, I would say. Nitro Red, perhaps. Energy, yes. Imaginary authors, yes. This, 100%. So, Giardini di Toscana, Bianco, Latte, Caramel, Sweet Cream, Milk. Beautiful fragrance. Okay. $120 typically. This last one, I didn't want to go any more expensive than this because I think if you're going to plan a vacation, spend it on the money on experiences, not a fragrance to get there. So I could have included some fairly high ticket items. As I said, mostly some Louis Vuittons. But this is the most expensive one that I have, and this is from the house of Qaed. This is Virgin Island water, and this is actually a cologne by Alexandria. So this is a cologne by Alexandria Virgin Island water. This is a gorgeous tropical vacation. This is not super coconutty. This is sort of a citrus based. I don't even think coconut is in here at all, but it does put off a bit of a mixed drink kind of vibe. It's just a really good fragrance to me. It smells, it's a very citrus off the top, pina colada-esque. I'll give it one more spray. Yes, very much so. So it's really good. It's tropical paradise in a bottle, whether you get the Qaed version, Alexandria. Every clone house has done some version of Virgin Island water. But Qaed is also not the most expensive niche house that you could go and purchase. There's so many others. When you put it in context, Qaed actually isn't that expensive compared to some of these others. Is it expensive? Absolutely. Is it overpriced? 100%. That was... You probably wondered, why did he even have it on there? He's so critical of Qaed. Yes, I am. But I do have two different Qaed fragrance clones of Qaed fragrances, but nonetheless, my absolute favorite if you're going to a beach, so the one that I would personally choose to be on the beach would probably be the Virgin Island water or the cologne. If I was going somewhere that was not the beach and I just wanted to have a good time, probably be Energy or even Mandarin Sky is really, really good. And not to say that all of these fragrances are great and I would pick any one of these, but for my trip next week, really impressed.